Week 10, 26 matches left to play here, and we start with LNG Arena here in Chongqing. I think I destroyed that one though, unfortunately, but it's a pretty impressive stadium overall.
It definitely looks very familiar to the old Snake Stadium. You can see the logo still there. And anything is possible for LNG as they claw their way closer to playoffs.
They're going to have to take the first step today, currently sitting on 6-6. Victory 5, still searching for that 5th victory. It's just been a little bit of a downhill spiral for them.
I like how ever since you landed in Shanghai, that's a line that you've been going for with V5.
This is the go-to. It's the go-to. Hello, ladies and gentlemen.
Stop They're going to change the V4 next split.
Welcome to the LPL Week 10. We are coming into the penultimate week of the LPL regular split. I am BP, joined here by Clement Chu. And we got to talk playoffs.
Yes.
We just got to talk to playoffs. So we'll have a quick look at the standings, but then we got to explain it to people because right now everything's up in the air in terms of who's going where.
The most important thing is that 3 people have already locked their playoffs. Congratulations to FBX, Talk Esports, and Royal Never Give Up heading the pack, while on the bottom end, 2 teams are already outside of playoffs. However, in the middle, still a ton of competition. Anything is possible. I feel like teams from 11th place onwards have a very strong chance of still making it.
Yeah, only 2 series realistically between the side of 11th and 5th, so a lot to still be played for. And we got to talk about how playoffs is formulated, how everything works out, because top 8 get in, but this is how they're set up.
It's a double gauntlet style. We have 1 extra gauntlet compared to LCK because there's so many teams. This is the exact same format that was played in the spring split. And in this type of format, what's really important is your regular season seeding, because if you're higher, you get to skip rounds. 5th to 8th place have to play in the first round, but if you're 3rd to 4th, you skip a round, and 1st and 2nd are seeded directly into the semifinals. Hide your cards, get side selection. Regular season means a lot in the LPL format.
And you can see as well, like the dates as well, 22nd of August, 23rd, 24th, 25th, it's back-to-back best of 5, so you got to be on top of your game.
Really, it's so close, so tight in the playoffs, and the first week will be played in Shanghai Hongqiao Stadium, and the second week will be played in Beijing in the JD Gaming Arena. So folks, if you want to come and visit, do make your plans ahead of time.
Yeah, absolutely, and of course we're going to have to look at today's games as we start off week 10, or I think it's actually going championship points, is it?
Yes, we do have the championship points to talk about just a little bit more, and really important to remember is that the regional qualifier is extra important this year because LPL, all teams will be directly seeded into group stage. No longer do you have to go through the play-in stage because of how well LPL did in 2018. Now, taking a look at the points, most important is JD Gaming. What we did find out is actually, even if they don't make playoffs, they still get to hold on to their points. There's no Najin clause that we have in the LPL so far. But however, if anyone ties them based on summer split points, then the one with the higher summer split points will automatically get qualified over the one that had the higher spring split points.
And only 3 teams get into that 3rd seed regional qualifier gauntlet. So you got to get, you know, for the likes of RNG, DMO, top, they got to get high points.
Yeah, very important for them, especially RNG. Look at that, 10 points, got knocked down earlier on by JD Gaming. So a lot of these big names have so much to fight for. They really need to find a chance, and especially if you're looking at this one, EVG missing because they got knocked out of the first round in spring. So 0 points for them.
Yeah, you know, we'll say it's all we fight for. You know, LPL mantra as such. But let's have a look at today's games for the start of week 10. Of course, we're going to start off with LNG versus Victory 5. If LNG are victorious, they will not only knock out LGD from contention, they will also knock out Victory 5. So it is right now do or die for Victory 5.
Ooh, a lot of teams are going to be rooting against LNG this time around. In the second series, we just heard the theme song, I Am a Lion, and I think that fits very well for Suning. As they try to head further up, they theoretically can still reach 3rd place in the playoffs, which would be massive and put them in at least the quarterfinals.
Yeah, they're still chasing for that 8-4. Obviously being able to capitalize on the fact that IG did lose to Bilibili Gaming yesterday. anything's possible. Again, it's very congested. I keep saying this, but it is it's almost the longer we go on, even more, it's kind of like, well, literally one game literally swaps like 3 teams around.
Nothing was settled until the very last week this in the spring split, and I think this time it might not get settled until the very last day when we have Suning versus LNG. Talking about LNG, we do have to talk about their recent performances.
It's not been good. It's not been good at all. And especially their early game. Their early game just hasn't been what it has to be compared to their wins at the start of the split.
And it just feels so frustrating because they were one of our most hyped teams with the new name change coming in, and they won 4 series right off the gate, especially against JD Gaming and Invictus Gaming. Big part of that was Plex and SofM. In the early game, they were dominant, but after then, negative 988 gold differential. That is a 2,000 gold difference on average every single game. And we've broken it down for you a little bit. The main difference has been Plex has not been allowed on Sylas.
Yeah.
Beforehand, 83% win rate on Sylas, 6.15 KDA. After that stretch, teams have only allowed 1 Sylas pick to go through, and he has not found an early game substitute whatsoever.
And for LNG, you know, the kind of concept of going from such a strong position where almost everyone was saying you're a top 6, top 4 team to you might get knocked out of playoffs because there was a lot of very hungry teams underneath you that are just waiting for you to slip up.
Yeah, I think anything is possible is just not a great motto. You put anything is possible in the early start of the split, and you're like, well, maybe it's possible to slip out, but now it's possible to slip back in as well. They still have a chance to get there, but it's going to be very, very difficult. And what we are expecting and looking forward to is what can Plex actually do to hold on to the early game, to make sure him and SofM get a good start to the game. We've been talking about the speciality of LPL, and for me, it's been how strong mid-jungle has been. Mid-jungle has been the dominating factor in this region, and if you look at the previous 5 MVPs, all of them have been mid laners. Mid lane is actually where all the talent is in the LPL, despite, you know, everyone thinking about AD carries all the time. Mid lane is where it is most competitive, and if you want to survive here, Plex and SofM need to stand up to the competition.
And on the other side, we also have an equally struggling Victory 5. They still cannot grasp that thick victory, and it's really pushing them really far down those standings. They could get knocked out of playoff contention today.
Yeah, they had this renaissance where they had the solo lane players switching around, but afterwards, they've dropped 10 straight games in a row now, not looking great. And I think a main problem has been, even though the swap gave them a lot of champion diversity, at the end of the day, I still don't think Windy, who used to be a mid laner, is a great top laner.
Yeah,
they found
or Mole going into the top lane is a good top laner either.
No, essentially they're actually lacking a lane, and that top lane has been such a sore point for the team. They've been decimated in terms of the team, in terms of the laning phase itself, and because they're a heavy skirmish team, and they like to play these messy mid games without a good early starting point, they just seem to fall flat afterwards.
And what do you want to see from Victory 5 as we see the teams coming out onto the stage? They are joining us here. Windy, Ben4, Mole, Y4, and I've completely blanked on the support.
Oh, you have Y4 and Max. Don't worry, Max is the new player on the team.
I completely blanked. I was like, what is his name?
He has to take that earlier on. Like, people will forget every now and then. But the 4s is the old members on the team, Ben4 and Y4, the veterans. Everyone else is new or from different rosters. Windy, of course, came from 87, Max there as well. And here we have the home crowd favorites, LNG, been running with the same roster, almost the same roster. Only difference this time is that Maestro is now playing instead of 5.
And again, LNG, they got to start now. They got to move forward, get those wins on the board. Otherwise, they're going to possibly drop out of playoffs.
Yes, excuse me, it was not 5. I got them messed up with the OMG guys. It was Dwan. So
yes,
Maestro starting his 2nd series in a row. Dwan played actually quite well, had a great Lux, but we all know Lux no longer exists in the meta. And it's finally some time for Maestro and his engaged supports like the Nautilus, like the Braum, to have some chances in the spotlight.
And the thing we talked about at the start of this series, the thing is I want to see from LNG in the draft is early game priority for the mid lane. You have to get that down because that's when they got their early leads and they got wins. That's what they need to come back to.
It's so important for the team because we talk about LNG as a very slow starting team. They have one of the 2nd lowest first tower rates in the entire league. They don't have a very strong bot lane. It's mainly scaling for Asura, it's scaling for Flandre, and if they don't have mid jungle that can shore up the early game, then the team just never has a chance to really transition into their strong parts. So what they play mid is extremely important. What I really want to see out of them is something like the Qiyana. I think Qiyana is a champion that snowballs incredibly well. She's very easy to execute. I think easier to set up. You get that river element and you just have a stun in lane. That's so powerful. It's easy to snowball. I think they should go for that path.
I'll have to wait and see for Victory 5s. What do they got to do? Like, they just kind of haven't looked good in any regard. It hasn't, like, and that's the thing. It's like I came in, everyone was saying, no, Victory 5, they're kind of the ace in the hole. You know what I mean? They're the surprise that could potentially take down anybody. But as of I've been here, they just haven't done anything good.
It's just been you, man.
Yeah, I'm the unlucky charm. I'm the unlucky charm.
You're preventing the 5 from getting together.
Yeah.
But I would say that a couple of things we saw in the Vampig trends is people are heavily focused on winding. They know his champion pool. It's Aurelia and Yasuo. You take those two champions away, and he performs significantly worse, especially in the top lane. And also that I don't think their bot lane or their mid lane has really improved in terms of their synergy in any meaningful aspect. They were able to catch teams out of the blue, catch them off their guard with their swaps earlier on the split, but later people just figured out, hey, if we take away these flexes, they actually are pretty lacking in the style they play. You take away the Rise, you take away Yasuo, Aurelia, and suddenly you take away 3 champions that their soul lanes share.
See now what they want to go for, and for Victory 5, like we said, they get knocked out if they do not win this series. They only have 3 games left. They are sitting on 4 wins. If they lose this, they will go to 4 and 8. I think that's the correct one. Yes, with 2 lanes left. 4 and 9, excuse me, and they will not have enough points to be able to catch up to LNG. So this is what we call a 6-point game. You got to take them down to bring you up. Otherwise, you're just going to fall even further behind.
2 birds with 1 stone. Yep. LNG can take out 2 potential opponents just by winning today. LGD is watching on the sidelines nervously as well. We know that the fans love them, so hopefully it won't be goodbyes just yet. However, LNG, they could very well be the gatekeepers of the LPL playoffs. Now, Jake did mention something I felt pretty cool about, is that Snake, or LNG as an organization, has always made playoffs at least 1 time every year.
That's
They've
true.
never missed for the entire year. So there is a legacy behind them that they do want to defend, and they do want to make the Chongqing crowd happy.
And that's it. You're on your home soil. You're in the arena where you know best. You didn't have any travel time. You didn't have to do anything crazy. You're in peak position. But again, you still got to get the job done. You still have to win in order to kind of keep pushing for it, because teams of like Team WE, Dominus coming up in there now as well. JDG though having another similar slump still there around there. And also Rogue Warriors out of nowhere all have potential to be able to push you back and push you down.
It's so incredibly close right now. If you look at the standings, you're realistically looking at maybe 2 of the bottom slots potentially opening up for what is a 6-team car crash incoming. Everyone trying to get into that playoff situation. Last year, it was last split, it was super close. You really needed to have 10 match wins to avoid any of the same scores. And at the end, even though BLG was on the same number of wins as another team, they didn't make it in. They were at 9 and they couldn't make it in. That was terrifying for a lot of these teams. It essentially meant that you needed a 67% win rate just to get into the LPL playoffs.
Yep.
Insane.
To be above
pressure.
average. Literally to be above average, you need to be above 50%. But I'm going to see now exactly how it all goes down as we are going to do jump. You know what that crunch means. It is crunch time to go into picks and bans of Game 1 of this best of 3 series. And LNG, you see their coach not as happy as the V5 coach. V5 coach feeling a bit free.
Yeah. The V5 coach, I think he was shaking his head and saying no. Now, both of these teams early on showing a lot of respect. We were talking about the Aurelia Yasuo, and there they go. Goodbye. Yep. Sylas also gone for Plex. It's pretty much an open secret. Plex is great on Sylas, but if you take that away, not a lot has been working.
And just as a reminder to everyone watching at home, Jace and Talia have been re-enabled for this patch and for the rest of this week. Mordekaiser is still disabled, so we will not be seeing him. As we see what LNG want to go for, and all the solo lane picks are gone. So you can tell both sides like their solo lanes.
Both sides really are dependent on solo lanes from carrying, and usually LNG in this position would be taking the Karma. They really love that champion, but it hasn't been working out of recently. So the Ezreal is actually going to sneak into the first pick position. This is quite rare in the LPL, to be honest. Ezreal is considered a champion where a lot of champions actually just push him in. You don't have lane priority. But LNG, like always, going for scaling in their bot side, so it's still important for them. They're going to go for that for Asura.
And I'm curious as well, Yuumi makes her way through the picks and bans, hasn't been picked up. Karma was taken, but the Nautilus is taken by V5 as a priority over the Yuumi. So they're kind of saying, give your Yuumi to the Ezreal, we know we can beat it.
This one's a interesting one because LNG actually are one of the teams that don't play Yuumi a lot. Dwan favored the Lux far more over the Yuumi, and for Maestro, we actually haven't seen him pick up the Yuumi just yet. So whether they decide to go for that is a question mark in the meta, and it looks like they're actually going to forego the champion pick, just go for the Tahm Kench instead. The most popular support right now in the patch. Yeah,
pretty damn strong, good laning phase, kind of equal to that of Nautilus, and Neeko has been locked in as well. That can flex up to the top side or into the mid lane as well. Kiana Harvard have seen V5 try and play this champion a couple of times, but it does seem like it's a bit of a feast or famine, and I would prefer to see something like the Zoe locked in instead.
Yeah, I think the Zoe's a lot safer against the Neeko, especially if that's flexed into the mid lane. As a Kiana, you have a lot of problems even picking up minion waves against most range mages. So Zoe is something that represents a safe option and also a chaotic one. V5 love their early game skirmishes. We called them this is going to feel weird, but a couple of weeks ago we called them the G2 of the LPL because their game pacing was so fast. They got so many kills.
I'm insulted.
Now these days they have a lot more deaths than they have kills. But
yes,
they still have that #1 in terms of champion kills per minute.
it's like they're a supermarket own brand version of something.
Aww.
You know, it's like it's almost the same, but then it's like you know, can we get McDonald's like we have McDonald's at home or something like that? And it's kind of like no, there's no. It's like this like homemade frozen burger, and you're like, oh, that's not what I wanted.
I can tell you're a Wendy's fan, by the way.
I've never actually had a Wendy's. No, I lie. I had one in Japan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but it was
fine.
fine.
Oh my God, the Irish don't have Wendy's?
No, we don't have. We don't have Wendy's. Wendy's is not a European thing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's great.
we
have a lot of Nando's. Ever had Nando's?
No.
Oh, Nando's is the best.
We're not gonna have Wendy's. We're not gonna have Nando's, and we're not gonna have Olaf or Sivir either.
Aww. No scaling picks, no skirmishes. Surprised to see Olaf get through the pick and ban so far, and that means Jarvan going to be the choice for Victory 5. They could still go with maybe something like, you know, the Karma into the AD carry role. Have seen it played quite a few times by Fnatic. Have seen SMLZ play it as well.
Yes.
Not too much success, but
that's what I wanted to say.
It is still possible. And
it is playable.
And last time I was questioned on this by Raz, I was correct.
It is true. It is true. It's definitely playable, but I really see it as more of a support pick that you have to win early with. A late game just doesn't really provide the same oof in terms of damage. And LNG right now, they're keeping their options open. I like this flex. Corki, we've seen a lot of top lane Corki these days. Angel's been playing at top lane in the LPL. And for LNG, this is very clearly a poke composition. Something that provides disengage would be great here. I think the Lee Sin is a terrific option. Dragon Rage, just knock someone back. And you can continue the Siege Warfare. Now it's up to V5 to pick up something for either their AD carry or solo lanes. I actually like the Varus here. I think Varus provides them with a lot of crowd control potential, and it's a great siege breaker of a unit.
Could go with the Xayah as well. Has a good disengage, and both teams going with very, very similar comps that Xayah is locked in. Both going for the kind of small bit of engage with their junglers as such, and then pure disengage from their carries.
Yeah, this is an interesting choice on the Xayah. I have to say this wouldn't really be my go-to pick. Wouldn't be my go-to pick for the champion, but they've selected something that's slightly safer actually in the Xayah with more escapes compared to the Varus. So V5 are thinking, you know what? We've got enough engage in the Nautilus and Jarvan. We can have this pick as kind of a poke option for ourselves, and also does win with lane priority in lane. Y4 not really known as a Xayah player, but they're going to give this one a try.
All locked in and loaded. We'll say that the Nautilus Xayah has a lot of kill potential if you do land that dredge line and get a couple of feathers out as well, get them recalled, get the extended route. You can stun someone up for about 2.5 seconds, which is a hell of a lot of time, almost as long as a Morgana Dark Binding.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Like in lane, there's no question whatsoever that V5's bottom lane is going to have a bit of an easier time here. They should have the lane priority, But what I'm a bit worried about is that Xayah never goes great against poke compositions. I always feel like without Blade Caller, Xayah's lacking in a lot of damage, and I just feel like poke comps kind of outrange her and kind of counter with the play style that Xayah really provides. She's much more of an anti-engage type of champion than an anti-poke champion, so to say. So this is going to be an interesting one. V5 do have a lot of priority, a lot of snowball potential with the Zoe as well. But in terms of punishing LNG when they group up, I think that's going to be the real test.
I have to wait and see now how V5 make this work. Can they get the lane priority that they need so desperately in the early game? Well, LNG try to get their season back on track. A loss here could be huge. We'll have to wait and see as we go onto the Rift for game 1 of this best of 3. Still rocking the arcade here, which I love, between LNG and Victory 5.
Now, it really depends on the stadium. Each stadium actually holds their own.
I love the way it's multiple different people. It's multiple people kind of going, you thought we wouldn't do LGD, but we got it.
Hey, but I have to tell you, LGD chance makes sense today, because
yes.
if LNG wins, LGD is out.
Yeah.
Right? So their fans have to show up today.
LNG looking to knock out 2 teams with this particular game, or series I should say. V5 and LGD will both be knocked out of contention if LNG is victorious. So V5 looking to keep their season alive effectively.
A really important series for both of these teams, and take a look at the options being selected right here. Actually going to go for the Airy in the top side, just put a bit more damage. Sometimes we've been seeing the Kleptomancy coming in from the Karma, just maximum value in lane.
And Plex obviously going with that Glacial Augment, the annoying Neeko build, as I like to call it. Twin Shadows and the Hextech GLP.
It's just so good in a poke composition. The disengage potential, I feel like, is even greater than the engage potential, because the slow field, did you know it lasts for 5 seconds?
That is insane.
It's so long. I have no idea why it needs to last for 5 seconds.
Because no one else builds it.
True, like if you tag someone, they really can't walk towards you. So I actually feel like it's a much better tool in a poke comp than instead of like a catch comp.
Let's see exactly how it all goes down. Pretty standard start for both junglers. No one really getting anything too crazy or starting anywhere too ridiculous. No shenanigans level 2.
I will say this is a slightly more advantageous start for V5. They did have an early ward in SofM's blue, so their bot lane should be able to push with pretty much disregard of the potential for the SofM gank, or at least they can know when to push for the to avoid the gank. And you can see the pings from the junglers as well. Ben4, with that early information, should have a very good idea on where SofM will be headed. Pings him out correctly on the scuttle, but probably can't contest.
Probably cannot contest, but at the same time, you can imagine that with the Zoe now finding a little bit of movement here. There's the knock-up. Flag Drag does connect. Flash burn by Plex as Windy's now coming in here. Now there's no flash available for Plex. We talked about a disastrous early game. LNG getting caught out. Flash, trouble, bubble. He's going to be able to get the flash flag and drag as well. Ignite goes down. Double kill for Mole in the mid lane.
And the disastrous early game for LNG strikes again. I don't think Plex actually needed to help out the Lee Sin on the scuttle. And with that move, he gets sandwiched from both sides. Priority from Windy. 2 kills straight over to V5. Mole even holds on to his real flash.
Mole just picks up Plexus, says thank you very much, and SofM really not respecting that. You can see Plex, he all he has to do is path upwards.
Yeah, that one was really a bit weird. Now, they actually spotted Ben 4 a bit earlier than that, but still going in and try to secure the scuttle felt very unnecessary. And just watch this, Mole flashes in, took this flash from someone else, and he would have had the opportunity to flash again here. Plenty of damage, enough for that. And that's a 2-0 start for a Zoe. The member you most don't want to see someone getting snowballed.
Oh no, the roam from the Nautilus, which is a little bit faster. Flash in, triple bubble lands. Good night, sweet prince. And V5 starting this game off fantastically well. Gonna be able to take out the Tahm Kench as well. Another double kill for Mole.
This has to be the best start we've seen a Zoe get. 4-0.
What a flash! What a kill! Y4 takes anyone on in a 1v1.
I gotta say, that's some bottom lane tilt right there.
That is a team tilt. That's not even bottom lane. That is LNG off the face of the earth.
Right out of the replay as well. We didn't even get to see how the bot lane got there. I was just so lightning quick, and LNG completely capitulating the early game.
Disastrous. Absolutely unbelievable. And it's just Max being there before the Tahm Kench.
Yeah, V5 did get the scuttle there, so extra move speed there. And Mole gets to roam in with the flash. His own flash gets over the wall. Perfect find onto SofM, who burnt his earlier. And just a straight follow-up.
And I like that from the Nautilus. He actually flashed in to give a W availability to the Zoe as well. Great route there by Y4. Burning the flash as well. 0-5, 2,000 gold lead at 6 minutes.
I know Tahm Kench is called the River King, but this game it's going to go to Mole.
I got to give it to him as well, and that's going to be an early Ocean as well, so sustain in the lanes for everybody going to be available here. And LNG look lost.
Yeah, they really do, and we have to mention that this hasn't been uncommon in their game so far. A lot of early game disasters between SofM and Plex's coordination, and we said that this would be a thing when Plex first came in. The team talked about it as well, as Plex didn't really have that much.
He smited too early! Asura trying to do anything he can to keep his team in it.
Oh, Asura with the perfect find right there. He might have tilted the last one, but this one, he's got his head back in the game.
That's Ben4 not really respecting the fact that he just, just smite at the exact same time that you need to. You don't need to go crazy on it. So say that. Needs to be very, very careful! Oh! With a W prepped, Asura, he's making sure his team don't go down without a fight. He's rallying LNG.
Man, that's the saddest grin I've seen from Asura. Did you just see his face right there? There was a smile, but it was like, I hope this is enough. It's a great start for him, however. Like, Asura has been one of the most underappreciated pieces on LNG for a while. Yes, he might only do scaling, but he has the mechanics to surprise and outplay a lot of AD carries and a lot of players on the day. This is just a great find. They saw the Jarvan come into their own jungle through the Dragon Pit wall, and a perfect aim coming in from the Ezreal.
Once the W was landed, no flash available for Ben4 meant that he was dead to rights. And this early game, still in favor of V5, but definitely could have been a lot further ahead had those two plays not gone the way of LNG.
And surprisingly enough, look at this top lane. The CS score is massive from Flandre. Just winning this matchup incredibly hard. I don't think this is supposed to happen in this lane.
Not exactly considered a huge counter to the Karma.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Corki will have a fun time. I think it's more just a who hits what matchup,
It definitely is more of a skill matchup since both of them are skill shot dependent and just chaining into each other. But the Ocean Drake is going to help Flandre even more and help him propel this lead further. And late game, he does have the split push advantage here.
Karma does fall off a little bit, to be frank about it, but still a long way to go for LMG. Good signs from the bot side as Asura just kind of drags his team back into this one here, and it's not over just yet. V5 look a little bit rattled after that, you know, one or two little small hiccups.
Yeah, and it's going to give Asura a lot of power in lane just to stop the push coming in. You can see they've already lost 2 turret platings, but with the Glacial, the Iceborne Gauntlet coming up, accelerated a lot faster than usual, he should be able to hold on to that lane, and that stops V5's tempo.
Blue buff handed over there. Going to be nice for Plex to be able to spam out those things, but you're looking down the barrel of a Luden Zoe already pre-10 minutes in the game, and that's a scary, scary prospect no matter how much you do to get back into this game.
The question has to be, how is SofM going to protect his bot lane? Because right now, Mole has right of way. He can go whichever direction he wants to. No one's going to be able to stop him, and you have to set up vision. You have to protect Asura. He's the only golden part on your team right now.
Oh, Treble Bubble lands. There's the Paddle Star coming in as well. Ignite does force out the stopwatch immediate usage, but he picked himself up a Proto Belt.
I gotta love that style assist coming in from Ben4 as well. Mo's still going. He still has a flash.
Still has it. There is. He has a flash available to him. Nicely predicted. Did not get anything else there, but did get the flash.
And that's so important on the top side. They spot out where the Lee Sin is. Bottom lane, this is a clear go-ahead 3v2. Only Flandre can help now.
Yeah, Asura taking half his health bar out. Y4 pushing in now with Ben4 and Max. Going to see if they can get another turret play. Keep this gold income nice and flowing. And they're going to be able to pick it up. No problem at all. Pressure, no kills go over, but at the end of the day, they're getting more gold.
Yeah, I like V5 playing that one super patient. They didn't try to hard force for the kills with the numbers advantage. And good rebound back onto the top side. SofM did think about the Herald, play some wards down there, but later thought better of it.
Yeah, realized that they weren't going to possibly have the time realistically, as Windy now going to try and test Flandre. Both trading relatively equally, a little bit more on the side of Flandre in terms of health bar taken. And this is just going to become more and more difficult. You're in a poke matchup against another poke mage who's just out-poking you. And
it's not just out-poking you, it's killing you at the same time. That was almost a straight-up solo kill.
They think the Rift Herald's being done. They've committed a teleport and the Tahm Kench ultimate just to get back into position to try and contest it, but I don't even think they can really start it. They don't really have the full vision as such, and right now, you can't really contest anything near mid lane. Mole is just too big.
You can start it, but you probably won't finish it alive. Not with Mole around at this point. So I like the idea of backing out from LNG there. It's just the start of it was a bit questionable. A lot expended, and they're not going to go get anything for it. This is smart moves on V5. They're taking this very, very slow. They know they're going to have plenty of chances later on to just roam and do the Herald. I think what V5 should do is they really don't need to hard force this objective. They should just look for another pick somewhere. It's going to happen naturally with Mole. And then they can start thinking about taking an unopposed objective. Much less risk involved.
We see some first items being picked up now for the side of V5. Got yourself the Athenians and Holy Grail for the top side for that Karma, going full protection mode for either the Zoe or the Xayah, whichever one gets into a more advantageous position. You've got the Luden's Echo with the Stork Shoes as well finished up for Mole, as well as the Essence Reaver for Y4. And on the other side, you've got the Triforce, which is great for the Corki. You've got the Iceborne Gauntlet, but that is a sad, sad mess of items for Plex in the mid lane.
Oof. Yeah, just not having a great start here. And, despite Plex's such a strong start in the split, we're still having a lot of questions on him on other champions, him finding his synergy with SofM. Recently, the language barrier has been it's been very difficult to overcome. Now, SofM does speak a lot of Mandarin. However, he is trying to communicate with a non-native speaker in Plex. Plex is a Korean import coming over from Griffin.
And not out of it just yet. I think they're going to be pretty damn happy on the side of LNG with just kind of playing out this laning phase. No need to force anything too crazy because the end of the day, plates are gone now, so nothing was really hugely lost, and they can start to scale up a little more now as longer this laning phase goes on.
And V5 are positioning themselves for a strong play onto the Herald. And this time around, actually, LNG can use the teleport to try and help out. We do see Asura does have that option, but I don't really think you want to contest anything with Mole already in place. Ezreal's still going to go for it anyway. I'm actually quite surprised by this.
Here we go. Teleport did come in. They are all here. 5v4 for the moment. Rift Herald go down in favor of Victory 5, and LNG, they just didn't have vision. They could not commit.
Yeah, this seems like a really weird decision because V5 are going to be able to take 2 objectives on the map. There's no one guarding the bot lane tower now.
Have the teleport advantage as well. There's a Rift Herald being popped in the mid lane, so they want to get all 3 lanes pushing. You can see the Xayah pushed out that top side, and they want to either try and force a fight or try and get the turrets.
This was a bit of a confusing call from LNG. I felt like if you wanted to do something like that, it either had to be a full committal on your side, or you had to have a good plan to catch out someone, especially when they already had vision control.
Half health with 1 paddle star. Zoe's balanced.
Still is. Zoe's just one of those champions that wasn't hit in the great nerf of 9.14. And whoever wasn't hit...
The great nerf.
It was a patch that just tried to dampen everything down.
Yeah.
There's more nerfs than buffs overall.
And with that mid lane turret going down, that opens up a lot of the map, a lot of opportunities for Mole on this incredibly fed Zoe, who is ahead by nearly just under 3,000 gold. Nearly the entire gold lead for V5 is on this Zoe.
That's going to be real deadly.
That's a lot of gold. That's almost a Triforce in gold.
Yeah, nearly a full item here. And I like what LNG are doing. They're trying to make some catches now that mid lane don't need anyone to defend that anymore.
Yeah, they're going to commit the Tahm Kench ultimate, maybe try and get someone there. There's the flash committed, flash there by SofM, locked in by the Tangle Barbs. They get themselves that kill, but here comes Mole. Lot of damage there, and they can't really find anything else from it. Doesn't want to invest too heavily because they're getting topside anyway.
Yeah, that was actually a good defense from Mole, preventing any more tower damage. And LNG are just looking to scale up. They still have a chance, but they really need to wait for potentially that Hex Drinker onto Flandre. I think he needs that to survive a solo lane against
I think everyone needs it.
I'll
be totally honest. I think everyone needs it at this stage. I think just mass by this. Flash in, hook lands, dredge line, flag and drag, catalysm, good night.
I love no-nonsense kills. Just get here.
Literal get over here. As Mortal Kombat as you can possibly get from Max, and more pressure being put down by V5. This is good from them, and you know, recognizing where their strengths are, and they're just constantly pushing all this laning phase. They're basically saying, we're going to extend this laning phase to a point where you have to fight us.
Yeah, what I love about these plays from V5 is that they're not overreacting to the plays from LNG. LNG sent 3 people to the bot lane. No problem. We're going to take a top lane tower. We're going to take a kill. We're also going to take half your HP on that tier 2. So they're just coming out with these trades that are guaranteed to work. They're not going into the craze that they showed in the previous weeks.
Max range, instant collapse. Can't go any wrong. Can't look any cleaner than that.
And that's when you realize that Nautilus's hitbox is quite large. Really
Genuinely, it is a huge anchor. Like, I don't even think that's a Nautilus hitbox thing. I think it's just, look at the size of that thing. It's almost bigger than him.
Yeah, anchors are a very creative choice for weapons.
Y4. Potentially in a lot of trouble. They've committed the Tahm Kench ultimate. Do not hit the Hex LP or the Ezreal ultimate either as they try to just go in. Flash in. Does not hit the root. There's the heal. They're just going to try and catch him out as they do get the Dragon's Rage kick on. But you just haven't got the damage to commit to this. There is the Neeko trying to get anything she can off on the back of this. They will pick up the Karma. But the Zoe is here. The Zoe shall rain fear and death upon everyone in LNG. Triple kill to Mole.
Up to 8 kills now. I want to see if he can hit double digits. I think it's pretty damn close at this point.
And this just opens up everything for the side of V5. And LNG, they don't know what to do. Their desperation plays aren't working out. They could lose this game in the next 5 minutes.
They're hard forcing so much for these picks with the Tahm Kench, with the Abyssal Voyage, but V5 are in the vicinity. Look at this, they're doing Dragon, so it's a very short walk downstairs. And I have to say, Y4 plays this perfectly. He might not get the Blade Caller, but surviving that long against the assassination, yeah, just buys so much time for the rest of the team to come in and then just play the cleanup crew.
And you can see once Mole comes in, after all those summoners and all those activatable items were just scattered across the ground, Mole's never going to miss. And oh, instant arcane shift, but there is the dredge line. There's no tower there for the side of LNG. Flash has been burned. LNG, for a team that started so brightly, honestly just look like they don't even know where to be in the Rift. They don't know what to do at this stage in the game. I think they're almost like they're in the next game.
They have to be thinking about the next game at this point. This game is so far done. 8-0 Zoe, never something you want to see. And for LNG, I really want to see them contest the early game a bit harder with picks that I feel like have lane priority. I think that's the most important thing for them. They've been missing that. The Azir path, the scaling path, the poke path in the recent weeks just has not been the solution.
And the problem right now is with so little gold in the side of your Neeko and your Ezreal, you just don't really have the wave clear. You're only sitting on 2 items Ezreal, 1.5 item Corki versus a 2.5 item Zoe and a 2.5 item Xayah. There's just not a lot you can do. Ardent Sensor now picked up as well by Windy, so he's able to buff up that Xayah even more.
I just want to see the one shot.
I'm waiting for someone. It's most likely going to be Asura because he has absolutely no magic resistance as of right now. And we're seeing the Oblivion Orb picked up there by Mole as well. As he just comes in, he's just fishing, using the terrain to such good advantage to his team.
And double magic penetration already done here. I feel like he could even one-shot just the Tahm Kench at this point.
Potentially.
He's already level 14, so that's a 5-level advantage over the support.
Yep, got a 2-level advantage over his lane opponent, so that is not a good situation to be in. The one positive, I suppose, is Flandre's got himself a decent amount of CS, 214, highest, or second highest, only to the Xayah. And I don't know where they go from here. Tell me, oh great analyst and color caster of mine, what do LNG got to do?
Oh, they go next. That's where you go. I mean, where else do you go? It's just
GG go next. GG no re.
Yeah, but if you really think about how this started, it all happened within the first 5 minutes. It was 4 kills for Mole early on, 2 in the jungle mid scuttle battle, and then it was 2 kills once again, this time on the support and the jungle once again, when they swapped to the other side of the map. So if you do break it down, there are things that V5 are doing better than LNG. I felt like the early warding, catching out SofM's pathing during that first clear was so crucial to them finding his position and just finding those early kills. They did know that SofM tends to kind of greed for those scuttles even when the pincer is coming in. And Plex doesn't have the best communication with his jungler, not from what we've seen in these several few weeks. This is very reminiscent to LNG's game against RNG, I have to say.
Yeah.
Exact same start almost, where we saw SofM go for a scuttle, their jungle gets pincered, the time wasn't very well coordinated, and both of them die early on.
We'll see. Still a slow enough mid-game here from V5. They just took out all the easy objectives, which were the tier 2 towers. So they got themselves 6 towers to only the 1 in that bot side for LNG. But Baron has spawned, but they don't. Neither side takes this incredibly quickly. But V5, they've picked up enough vision. There's that cheeky ward. There are 3 teleports available for LNG. They could potentially look to fight this.
Now, Asura has already stolen 1 objective. He could be eyeing for the second. And we have to mention that SofM has always had the highest Baron steals in the LPL. This has been his speciality. That
ward is such high value right now for the side of LNG. It's just showing them that they're pushing out. As we see the engage comes in, flash engage there as Asura does jump back over the wall. Ben4 did commit the Cataclysm. Good damage down onto him. And they back away. Flash burned and healed by Maestro.
And LNG does have the advantage in these poke wars if no one dies. Through the Ocean Drake, they are turning around again.
Is equaled out, so both sides do have an Ocean Drake to their names.
Excuse me.
But I do agree with you that they have a little bit more spammability as such with their poke, given they have the Ezreal, the Corki, and the Neeko. And then they go straight back to the Baron. Now there's no vision available for LNG. That ward was such high value, but unfortunately for them, has fallen down. True Shot Barrage did go down. Mole just fishing to see if he can find anything. Does land a triple bubble, and that could be the sign to say that we need to go for this Baron. TP coming in here from the Ezreal. Baron not going to be the quickest ever. Is the far side trinket going to be used as well? Dredgeline misses. V5, you need to make a decision. You need to either fight or you need to go for this Baron. It looks like Baron's going to be the call.
And for LNG, I think they're a little bit too late to actually get a steal. Maybe transition from mid lane, but they still commit.
Oh, this could be another fight coming in here as Ben4 just tries to find out SofM, but he Dragon Rage kicks him the hell out of there. And now it's the exit strategy for the side of V5. They do not want to lose this mid lane turret. Keeps them in a pretty good pressure zone. And those paddle stars, man, are just so strong. They need to be so careful with how they do it. But there's the Cataclysm going in. He goes straight away into stasis. They're going to take out the Tahm, Kench, and the Neeko. It's a double kill for the Karma. It potentially could be the game. If they're able to take down the Corki, they can. They can push up mid lane.
Such a good engage coming over the wall from the Raptor pit, and I believe Plex died before he even showed himself. Just in the Pop Blossom, and random clean cuts goes through him, just takes his life away. V5 feign a retreat. LNG think they have a window for the mid lane tower, and it all backfires.
30 seconds left on Corki. Flandre not going to be available for this. Ooh, Asura. That could have been the one shot you've been looking for, Clement. It's so scary.
I really want to see it. Come on, make it happen, Mold. Find that Sleepy Trouble bubble.
Yeah, they've got a lot of gold, though. So I think they're just going to take out the inhibitor, go back, because they haven't gone back since they've taken the Barons. There's a lot of standing gold in a lot of these guys. I would say 2K plus on each of them.
V5 might just break their losing streak today. It's been 10 straight matches where they haven't found a victory. This one is so clean, so controlled. Like we were saying, V5, their star player has to be Mole. Great find here on Ben4. Gets 3 people in the Cataclysm. And watch this. Plex just, he gets the Pop Blossom, but it's just too little too late. The raw damage enough to take it out. And Mole with the style points on the Electrocute for finishing.
And I feel bad for Asura right now, because he's actually not had that bad of a game. He's equal enough on CS. He's got himself 3 items. He's actually been doing an okay job, but just the rest of it seems 0-3 Corki, 1-3 Lee Sin, 0-4 Neeko. And you can see even the damage done, like, he's out damaging the Xayah in these fights, but he just can't carry this entire team by himself.
What do you do when your mid jungle does less than 300 damage a team fight?
This is
really tough.
This is literally those like solo queue games where like no matter how hard you try, no matter what you've done in the early game, you got a kill, you stole dragon. It's just not gonna happen. I'm so sorry.
He got so far. He tried so hard.
But in the end,
it still ends in less than 30 minutes.
It still might end in less than 30 minutes as the triple bubble landed. Valkyrie now used. That's going to be a long cooldown there. As this is going to have to potentially be the final fight. There's a huge minion wave now in this bot side. And there's a Q onto Plex and Flandre. Double hit means that that turret does fall. Lee Sin goes in. Cataclysm down. Tahm Kench next as well. V5 have the minions. They got the Baron buff. They've got the damage, and they've got themselves the win.
They're going to finish this one for sure. SofM tries to go in, but dies before the flash is even used. That's just how much damage V5 has.
Asura just did 1 paddle star and 3/4 of the hell. Tahm Kench, or not Tahm Kench, excuse me, that was Plex. It nearly got baited there as the Jarvan goes down in favor of the Corki, but this is last stand for the side of LNG. They will lose this first game. You can see him, he's trying to do his best that he can. Almost picks up a second kill. 5 kills to 20, 28 minutes. V5 just dismantle LNG.
V5 walked all over them, and it's thanks to this man on your screen right here, Mole. Previously, the mid laner for BLG. Played on EDG for a while, but really found his starting position on V5 roster. A great mid laner, great Rise, great Zoe apparently as well. And that game alone, I want to know how many kills he actually got. I believe it was 12 by the end of it.
I think it was double figures. I'm almost certain.
He finished with the solo kill onto Asura, just really clean. None of the other members on the team actually touched Asura, but just like the EQ was enough to finish him off.
And what else do we say? LNG, I'm genuinely scared for them now. This is a game where you kind of thought about it, looking at their schedule, looking at their upcoming games, like, okay, you win this, you're probably going to make playoffs because you're knocking out a team, you're keeping yourself up there, and you're kind of creating bigger a gap. Now, all of a sudden, we're looking at a Victory 5 that could potentially just drag LNG down with the rest of them.
We had LNG as somewhat safe because they had LNG and V5 left on their schedule. So we thought, you know what, Suning is a bit hard in their current state, but they should realistically make it to 8. If they drop today, suddenly the last meeting against Suning might not even be that important.
That's the thing, like, and V5, I'm so glad to finally see them do well, because when I first came in, you guys were all kind of saying that these guys have shown, you know, glimpses of being able to show top quality League of Legends. I just hadn't seen it, and I was not rating them very highly.
Yeah, they were better than we expected, which was 15. So they got over that hump relatively quickly, and there was some hope. They were changing things in the LPL, the way that they played with their solo lanes. Like, if you listen to Steak, or you listen to Fluidwind from Suning and RNG, they said that, you know, this team gave us a lot of inspiration. We should play the way they do. It's so hard to nail down any of their matchups. They got this going for them. So I think V5, what we've seen for them is if their top laner doesn't collapse in the early game, and if they are going up against a mid laner that isn't necessarily top quality talent in terms of the LPL mid laners, then they can dominate. They can absolutely murder your team. And I think that was a perfect storm for V5 to show up. On LNG side, I'm a little bit disappointed that they didn't come up with anything new, because this is pretty much the same old LNG kind of style or tactic that we've seen in the past few weeks, which is we're just going to go for poke, we're going to play very, very slow, we're going to go just basically non-compete in the early game, and they get run over.
I want to know, like, that's obviously a coaching decision, and it's a back-end decision to see what they want to play as well, but like, as a coach, surely you've run the numbers. Surely you said, oh, wow, we win games when we get an early lead and we lose games when we don't. So maybe we should be able to try and sort that out. But I agree with you. It's disheartening to see them not try something new. And losing on the same thing over and over and over and over. It's like, you know, the definition of madness is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results.
It definitely has to come down to that. And the way I see LNG really salvaging this season and making a strong run is you have to risk it for the biscuit. You have to go for something that gives Plex kill potential in lane. You have to go for something that gives him some sort of just individual outplay.
Anything.
Yeah. I think he needs a champion with strong hard crowd control, very easy follow-up, very clear go button type of situations. That was why Plex was so good in the early split, because they ran Silas Rek'Sai basically every game. They said, just go, 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 hit the stun button, we'll get a kill straight off of that. I think Kiana's in the meta. Why don't you try that?
Why don't you? We'll have to wait and see what they do try. We're going to throw it to a break, and when we return, we're going to have game 2 of this best 3 series.
Another one gets closer to you, change trajectory.
Yeah.
It's not very subtle, but it's working out well for them to at least force EDG's hand.
They clear mid, they walk back,
Oh,
we're doing
wait
it
a
again, but this
second.
time EDG is sick of them. They walk in, they lock everyone down. That was so easy and by the books. OMG walk in, put their hands in the air and say, I am not a croc.
Good adaptation from Suning. They're able to kind of put themselves in a position that they won't be caught out. To say that, Xayah might be caught out here as he just has to flash away. There's the explosive cast, and he blows up Sword Art. Way, not long for this world. He will also go down. Double kill for the Gragas. Karsa coming out with a masterclass.
Yeah, they move away from top lane. IG collapse onto top lane. The Shy can always dash out. Still had flash for safety as well.
Oh, and he's found a mark. Culling comes through. We snap the reality, and there goes gravity. The gravity of the pop blossom.
Xayah has no idea that 4 people are jumping in on top of him. He's overheated. He's gone golden. But that's only to delay the inevitable. He flashes, he goes down. Cataclysm comes in, but he flashes back out straight away. There is the equalizer from Knight as he nearly gets popped. The Lance Respite will land him a little bit of time. He goes in, and that's a huge trade back, and maybe Knight can take over this fight. Top Esports are not done. Top Esports are putting in the damage, and Top Esports have routed RNG.
The most important part of this game right now.
Oh, Karsa goes too far!